And welcome back to the Edge Entertainment Australia studios. I am still joined by the effervescent. I don't know, I'm just throwing stuff out there. Sean Bennett from the Rockpit. Sir, how are you?
I'm still blown away by the technology. I've never seen so many cables. Last time I saw so many cables in one area, it was a Balinese pylon thing outside my hotel. It's wonderful.
You're ducking ping pong balls.
Yeah, it's that website we were talking about in the break. Yeah, that's the one.
TableTennisRS.com. I am joined by two legends of the hiatus that is SkinInc. Rockstars, if I've ever heard of Rockstars. Paul and Corey from SkinInc. Gents, it's an absolute pleasure having you in the studio, apart from Paul, who is in his manor on the other side of the country.
Manor, yes.
Enjoying life. Completely rockstar that it is.
I need to learn to write books, and I could have a manor.
Speaking of books, that's an extremely good segue there.
Yeah, I just got in there.
Paul, 10 books. Where do you have time? Like, you've written 10, that's amazing. Obviously, one of the big ones for me, reading up on you for your bio, was The Dirt by Motley Crue. You got a huge mention and a huge rap in that, particularly in the book. How do you get time to write 10 books?
Well, I don't watch a lot of television, so, overnight, you'll find me writing away and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I call it my manor here, but it's actually a bit of a writer's retreat. I'm about an hour out of Melbourne in the Dandenong Ranges, and I live on the side of a mountain in the rainforest here. I've got a creek down the backyard, so I'll sometimes take the laptop down there and sit in the hammock until the battery runs out.
Nice.
Tapping away on the keyboard, so it's perfect for writing. But look, I started, writing the history of Motley Crue back in 1995 when I first got onto the internet, because they were my favourite band, and the first thing I did when I got online was to try and see what information I could find on them, and there wasn't really anything out there. So I decided to create my own website, which launched in January, 27th of January in 97, when Vince Neil came back to the band, replacing John Grabby as the band's singer again. And it was a couple of months after that Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee basically emailed me and were like, holy shit, love what you've done with your website, writing the history of the band and all the crazy shit we've got up to and stuff like that. It's really cool. And that really kind of kick-started a long-time relationship with those guys over the course of a few decades. So I basically chronicled the history of the band for the best part of 20 years, and then I turned that into a series of paperbacks. And when it came time for them to do their own history book, The Dirt, the author, Neil Strauss, reached out to me and got me to kind of give him a hand in terms of doing a bit of an analytical assessment of it and proofing it to make sure that, it was as accurate as possible with facts and figures and stuff like that. So, so that was good fun, did that. But I got kind of sick of writing about Motley there for a while, so I decided that I was talking with Neil Strauss, and I was going to do a book on recipes from rock stars, and it was he that suggested that sex would be a tastier topic. So I ended up doing a book called Sex Tips from Rock Stars that had a whole bunch of rock stars in there, and I asked them questions from dating all the way through to divorce, which kind of, the book comes in handy at times. Everyone from Lemmy, I still remember the day that, I needed to interview Lemmy for the book. I woke up early that morning with the time zone difference to Los Angeles, and I was sitting there about to dial Lemmy, and I was like, holy shit, I'm actually going to ask Lemmy what he does with his cum after masturbating. But he was a real sport about it. He was really good. He basically said, well, you just chuck it away, don't you?
At least he didn't do it to shape the moustache, right? That's how he got that killer moustache.
That's it. So look, a number of rock and roll books I've done. My 10th book is coming out in June of next year. I just finished writing that. It's actually the autobiography of John Grabby, which goes through his full story of how he came to join Motley after his days in the Scream, and more recently he's been fronting the Dead Daisies, touring with Kiss and Whitesnake and the likes. And there's a whole heap of amazing stories in that book. I'm really proud of it, and he recorded an audio book as well, and that's coming out on a gatefold vinyl album, The Best Stories from the audio book.
Wow.
So I'm pretty jazzed that my writing work is actually going to come out on vinyl. So
how
that's
cool.
something a bit different and a bit of a goal for me.
I look forward to that. Hopefully the Rockpit, we can get to review the book because fantastic. I love a bit of John Corabi. I'm a big fan of the Dead Daisies as well, so look forward to that.
Yeah, it really, I mean, that's really the only books I read are rock biographies, and I mean, it's a little bit hard not to be biased, but, I do actually think it's a really compelling and engaging read.
I look forward to it.
Have you thought about actually doing an autobiography of yourself? Like, you guys, like, to sit down and write the SkinInc story from that 8 months would have been absolutely just whirlwind.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, our first gig set like a ticket sales record for slam shows at the Paramount in Northbridge. And we thought, oh, here we go. Like, we're going to be playing stadiums before you know it. But then it was either like our second or third gig was at a shopping centre up in the suburbs.
Girraween Shopping Centre.
No,
Girraween, there you go. Wow. And we were kind of looking around at each other going, hang on a minute, this isn't the right path to stadium. So, but it didn't take us long. I think the fourth gig was one that Corey set up through all his Speedway contacts and stuff. And we ended up playing a World Series Speedway meet in the middle, in the infield on the grass of Claremont Speedway.
Yeah.
USA versus Australia. So what do you do for an international sports meet? Well, you've got to do the national anthem, right? So we actually sang Advanced Australia Fair with our twin guitars.
Oh, cool.
Everything. It was quite a moment. And that was our fourth gig. And then, 12th gig was the big day out, So it was a busy time, that's for sure.
Incredible.
How did that conversation go about getting to be on the big day out? Did someone ring you up and go, hey, look, saw you at Speedway? How does that? How do you go from such a big jump?
Paul will have to answer that one. I got the Speedway gig, but he got the big day out one. You got that one over the line.
Yeah, we put together a press kit. So the name SkinInc, it's a bit of a mouthful to say, and sometimes people are like, huh, what? So sometimes I think, maybe it wasn't the best business decision to call our band SkinInc, but it actually stands for Skin Incorporated.
Yep.
So the INC is like a, proprietary limited, PTY Ltd. So it's INC dot, and we just joined it together. Yeah. And we kind of say, look, one of the reasons it's Skin Incorporated, it's a business kind of name. We mean business. We treat this seriously. We do everything as properly and as professionally as we can. So we put together a press kit, and, we've got press kits now and stuff as well. But back then we put together a physical press kit with a press release, an 8x10 glossy. I think at that time we had our album, our first EP, CD in there as well. We had some reviews, I think, from Express from some of the first gigs. And we basically put it together and we submitted it to Altered State, who were doing the WA leg of the big day out. And I knew Squasher from the punk scene years ago. And Squasher was basically, putting together the lineups and stuff like that. So we basically submitted our press kit with a nice introductory letter kind of putting forward our case. Again, there was plenty of tongue-in-cheek stuff in there to give them a giggle as well. But at the same time, they could say, oh, shit, these guys actually, mean business. They're doing things professionally and properly and stuff like that. So I think it was, a combination of, let's have a bit of a laugh here, but, these guys are actually, doing all the right things that they said, all right, we'll give you guys a go. So it was about bloody 40 degrees, typical Perth summer's day.
Yep.
There I was in my, silver bloody pants that don't breathe. So my Doc Marten boots filled up with sweat by the time the second song came around. We went on straight after Eskimo Joe, and I think half the crowd then moved over to see Blink 182. And I remember my daughter was a teenager at the time. She was like 13. And it was her first festival that she went to, and she was a massive Blink 182 fan. And I said to her, "Don't go near that mosh pit. Like, you've got got to stay safe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, my wife got a call saying that my daughter was in the St John ambulance sick bay.
Oh,
She
no.
got kicked in the head in the mosh pit with Blink 182. So my wife actually missed out on seeing SkinInc because she had to go and attend to my daughter and that. So, yeah.
That is
Good times.
that's an extremely rock star story right there, just quietly.
Can I add something to that as well? So we had to get to the venue like at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning to get all our stuff in and make sure it was all set up. We drove in and they go, right, that's your tent over there. Yep, no worries, mate. Brought all the gear in. We opened up the tent and it was only a small little tent that we could all sit in, but there was this massive crate filled with alcohol. I'm talking filled. We had cans of beer, you name it, everything was in there. And we're looking at it at 8 o'clock in the morning going, oh, you only do this once. So we were bagged straight into it. We had Jabba from Channel V hanging out with us and doing photos. And by the time it was, 2:30, I think, that we got up on stage, 42 degrees, whatever it was. Yeah, it was one of the hardest gigs we've ever had to do. But it was, definitely a one to remember. Absolutely.
Wow.
There's some video on YouTube that I put up recently that Channel V actually filmed, and that Jabba really loved our drum rod.
Yeah.
So for those of you not familiar with the drum rod, it was basically a little drumming interlude that we would do to kick off a song, where our drummer would often kind of strip off and be nude except for a racing helmet. And we had this contraption where we had like mag wheels off a car set up either side of the drum kit, and we had plastic PVC piping painted silver as like exhaust pipes either side, and our drummer had a little foot pedal switch on a smoke machine that would feed the smoke through the pipes. So as you
cool.
run along, double kick, all this smoke would billow out, and the mag wheels would be sitting there on the side and stuff like that. So when Jabba from Channel V saw this, he was like, holy shit, that's awesome, man. Like, he loved it. So, memorable times. But I remember that night finished with me sitting on the side of the stage watching the helicopters. It was just a perfect way to finish an amazing day.
Wow. What
Incidentally, those mag wheels were often from my XF Falcon that I would have to take off before every gig and make sure that I got a lift to the gig by one of the other guys in the band with my mags in the back of the car. So we went all out for the live shows, definitely.
That's full rock star. I love it.
And they were 12 slotters.
Oh,
yeah, so they look good too.
They would be worth a packet now, just quietly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Took the eyes off the nude drummer.
It did.
You don't see that much anymore this day and age, that's for sure. Tell me about the new song coming out on the 21st. Was it a song that's just been born, or is it something that you've had that's been on the back burner for the last couple of years?
You want me to start? Yeah. We basically, once we knew we were going to go in and start writing, a couple of us had a couple of little riff ideas that we'd gone in with. But we went in there, and I remember setting up, and I was looking at Matt, because Matt plays in the Australian AC/DC tribute. Well, is that the right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Perth? AC/DC Experience.
Experience, yeah.
Okay, yep.
And, I was basically joking, and I said to Matt, should we do something that's nice and easy, a bit like Akadaka for you, mate, to get you back up and running? And I just threw these 4 chords together, down, and all of a sudden, Steve's like, hang on, keep that going. And then we just joined in. The initial idea was I was taking the mickey out of Matt for being in an AC/DC tribute band. Yeah. But the riff started off as an AC/DC idea, but we turned it into our own, and obviously we ended up writing the rest of the song to coincide with that riff. But it was just us messing around in rehearsal, and we got a song out of it. And something about this band, I don't know what it is, but it feels like we don't actually put any effort into it. It's not like we sit around and scratch our head. What have you got? Like, everyone has got a bag full of ideas. Yeah. And it's more of a matter of we just can't get all our ideas out because we're working on songs already. So we have to actually pull ourselves up and go, hang on, we've got to just wait a while. We'll finish off what we've got.
Yeah, makes sense.
But that song initially, the new song came from just having a bit of a laugh at Matt about playing in an AC/DC tribute.
Yeah, cool.
which I love.
I was going to say, one of the good things about having Jono in the band now is he's obviously a singer. So, he's fronted many Perth bands. So because I'm not there with the guys in the rehearsal studio as they're, shaping up the music and stuff like that, it's good to have Jono there that he can just kind of throw some vocal melodies in there to kind of, know where to come in and where to exit and those types of things as well. And what the guys have been doing is filming video of them jamming on the songs, and they'll send that over to me. And when they sent me over the video of this song that we've now called Life's a Bitch, Jono actually said Life's a Bitch as he was kind of just scatting some vocals down. And I picked up on that and went, Life's a Bitch. I kind of like that, So I picked that up and ran with that as a bit of a theme for the song, and kept that in there as the chorus. And there was another little part, which is like the pre-chorus, where he said something like, it drives me crazy, or it makes me crazy, or something like that. And I thought, that works as well. So basically I took that in the video, and then, I've got kind of recording gear here, and then I kind of chop it up and piece it together, and then run my vocals and lyrics over the top, and then send it back to the guys and say, hey, what do you reckon of this? So the song is really about, I guess it's kind of a working class song about, you work hard to do your best, and then through no bloody fault of your own, the rug gets pulled from underneath your feet. Whether that's, you lose your job, or there's a bloody pandemic, or, your partner decides to move on to something else, or, whatever the case may be, shit happens in life that is out of your control, and you've just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
And, because we've been around a little while now, we've seen a pattern that this is what life's about. You have these tough times, and you just got to deal with it. Like, life's not all fun and games, and it's not all rosy. So it was a bit of a reflective moment when I was putting the lyrics together about those kind of things, about, losing your job, or losing your partner, life being hard, and things being out of your control, and it driving you crazy because, you're doing your best that you can through no fault of your own. Shit happens. And that's life, and then you die.
Yep.
Yeah, you do.
And there's a positive spin there.
Well, something we do need
That's how we end the song.
Well, we've been really lucky to see the video as well, so we've got to talk about that, because it does make you feel like you're very much here. All the boys are very much there, the way it's been shot. And we were talking in the break, it kind of had that, the video gave us that kind of Bohemian Rhapsody idea, without giving too much away, the way that you all look very much in the same room. It's very well done.
Yeah, thanks for that. Look, one of the challenges, obviously with me living in Melbourne and the rest of the guys living in Perth, it's like, well, how are we actually going to be a band? Like, how do we do this? And it's like, well, we got to use technology, because we can't all actually physically be in the same room together. So that not only extends to creating and writing the music, but when it comes time to, taking a photo of the band together, it's like we're not all in the same room. So, I've been shooting, music photography for over 10 years now and stuff like that. So, I'm not too bad at using Photoshop, and, I use Adobe Premiere Pro and that as well, although I'm more of a novice with the video side of things. So, but I know creatively I get visions and ideas of how things can work, and then from a production side, I know how to kind of piece it together. So with Shane joining us, Jono coming into the band, and obviously, we're 20 years older now, we need new promo photos, stuff like that, right? So it's like, well, how are we going to do this? So we decided we would just shoot each guy individually with a plain black background and just do a black and white image. And then I would put them together as a composite to make it look like the five of us are together. So as I was doing that, yes, it's got that kind of Bohemian Rhapsody video vibe, with the heads kind of stacked on each other to kind of get us all in the same frame. So that's our new kind of promo photo that we're running with. And, I think it works quite well to kind of bring us together as a band, even though we're in different parts of the country. So when it came time to do a new video as well, the idea was to basically theme it with that same kind of treatment, in that they call it low key, the very dark with a little bit of white in there as a style. So, that way it allowed us to kind of shoot me here in a studio and shoot the guys in Perth on location as well, or individually. And then our editor basically did the same thing with the video editing as what I did in Photoshop for the still photo, and just basically edited it all together. And I think, it's come out really well. We're really happy with it, the way that it kind of makes it look like we're a band and one unit together with the same, kind of vibe that's going on through there.
Yeah, definitely. Looks great.
Oh, it's amazing what technology can do, particularly with those when you expansive distance between you guys, and the fact also from an audio point of view, it's actually very crisp, very sharp. You would be, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. You know what I mean? It almost looks like you've had all of you in the same room bashing it out on point, on key. Now, the release of that video, that's going to be on the 21st. That'll obviously be a premiere that's going to be released for the YouTube channel for you guys, and also on your website, which is SkinIncRocks.com. And also, I believe, the Rockpit.
Yep, there might be a little sneaky premiere, maybe a few hours before on the website, which would be gladly showing the world. Which we'll make sure that is all linked up with this interview when we get everything sorted out.
We'll put the links in that in this video, and also the other interview as well too on the bottom, where Sean's pointing particularly at my kneecaps. It won't be in there now.
And then what he does to make me look silly, he puts it up here. Just
look, sometimes you have to, particularly because the Rockpit logo is so big, it takes up a lot of room. He complains if I make it too small, because it's all about size. Okay, all your music is exactly right. All your music you can obviously grab on all major streaming platforms, and also you can purchase it from the SkinIncRocks.com website as well too. So do go check them out too. You also guys have been really prevalent probably the last couple of months on Facebook as well. So there's a lot of updates, lives, and bits and pieces, particularly for what's happening with the band, and also for the music as well, particularly the new release of the new song. Devil's advocate. If COVID was to clear up right now, touch wood, the industry was back to where it was pre-2019, is there any appetite for either Paul, you to come to Perth and tour, or the boys to jump on a plane and go over east, knowing full well they can probably stay at the Manor, which is not a bad setup by the sound
because you can stay at the mountain retreat while they're at the Manor.
Devil's advocate, is there any appetite to tour?
Yes and no. Yes and no, I think is the answer.
Yeah.
Look, we've certainly talked about it. It's going to be expensive to do that. So we're going to have to pick our moments and our times to do that. I mean, I certainly won't be jumping on a plane to fly over and play the Girraween Shopping Centre for 12 people on a Wednesday afternoon.
We've just booked that for you, actually. Sorry.
I've been practicing.
What are you doing next Thursday?
But what we have talked about is, wouldn't it be amazing if we could actually do a tour of Japan for fun? Not as a money-making exercise, but just to go over there, play some shows, have an experience, and play some shows over there. So I've been fortunate enough to travel to Japan about 10 times now. I've shot quite a lot of artists over there and stuff like that, and it's one of the biggest music markets in the world, and they just love their rock and roll and heavy metal, hard rock over there as well. So one of the things that we decided, as I was saying before, when we put together our compilation album called The First Era, we targeted that as with a Japanese slant to it, to really start trying to tap into that market and see if we can get some traction over there as well. So we've done things like, if you look at the cover of that, it's got the Japanese rising sun, but it kind of takes the circle of the sun that's normally red is actually purple. And that's because our Love Me Tomorrow EP had the purple rose in the middle.
Yes. Yeah.
And then our Rose Coloured Glasses album has got kind of yellowy orange kind of sunset kind of look in the background behind, the five of us drawn in Japanese anime cartoon style. So that's where the rays are in that colour as well. So it kind of ties in with those two releases, and we've got the Japanese writing on there on the cover as well. So we've got a Japanese website set up specifically over there. We've got like a promo sheets with like full bio and all that, all in Japanese with Japanese QR codes and all that kind of stuff. So we're working towards that to really see if we can tap into that market, build a bit of a fan base over there, and go over and play some shows. Now, who knows when that might be or whether we can make that happen, but that's the kind of shows that we'd like to play and do. But look, you know, I've still got all my family in Perth basically. So, you know, it's been about 2 to 3 years since I've been back over and caught up with family. So I'm sure I'll be back for a trip, you know, once McGowan opens the borders and lets us in. And
wouldn't hold your breath, Paul, just
so,
quietly.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of COVID stuff that still needs to play out. But, you know, and Corey's said, you know, that, you know, it'd be great if the guys could come over to Melbourne, you know, play a couple of shows over here as well and stuff like that. So we're certainly open to it. It's just logistically, you know, it's got its challenges, both, you know, from a pandemic point of view, but also from an expense point of view and everyone getting time off work and all that kind of stuff. So the intention is there, but we've just got to be smart about it.
Yep.
I think that's actually, you're kind of leaning towards a warm-up show in Perth before you go to Japan would be perfect.
Says the man that can probably promote it. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you both, particularly Corey in the studio and Paul in the manor on the East Coast. It's been interesting. It's been extremely rock star. I'm not going to lie. It's probably the most rock star interview I've ever done in my life. I look forward to the 21st for the big release. We'll make sure that we post all the links, particularly on the Facebook pages and also the Rockpit as well. We look forward to it being, whether it's on your website or also the YouTube channel, and we strongly encourage everyone to go over and check them out. I only have one complaint, the fact that it took 20 years for you to get back together, but that's a different story altogether. You do hold the new record, so we won't be interviewing anyone else until they can do more than 20 years.
Yep. Okay. And please, once Life's a Bitch is out, please don't wait another 20 years for the next single.
No, definitely not.
That won't be too long behind
we'll
it.
be in our 70s if we do.
But still rock star as all shit, just quietly. It's a pleasure having you both in, gents. We look forward to seeing what comes out of the creative mind that is SkinInc. Thank you very much for your time. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
And rock on. Cheers, guys.
Fantastic.
Thanks for having us on, guys. Appreciate the support.
Cheers.
No worries.
See you later.